Wanna know who you think you are, cause I've been it. Okay, so good morning feels appropriate because it's 12:31, 12:32. I stand corrected. I think I might have mixed match a button. I don't care. Anyways, why are we here at 12:32 a.m.? I'm about to take my braids down, and I figured this was a good time to do a story time, which are long overdue for me. I was tweeting in 2020 I was gonna do story times, and I just haven't done them. So the one I'm gonna do tonight, and y'all, I'm sleepy. Work been kicking my tail. I was literally just asleep from 8 p.m. to midnight. Okay, so I'm a little sleepy, and I took my Zyrtec, so that made me a little drowsy. And this was a long time ago, and the way I had wrote the note was like, I'm gonna do half at a time. The way I wrote the note was like, tell them about that time you went home, you know, with a stranger. That time I went home with a stranger. And I need to go find the tweets so I can tweet it for y'all. But when I was thinking about it, it's a lot of ways that I could tell the story and should tell the story, because I want it to be lessons learned for some people, and it was more to that than just like I went home with a stranger. So I definitely want to set the scene and level set everybody before I just start talking about it. But I'm also probably going to share this on my other channel for them to go watch, because I try to do a timeline with my love life when we to have Kingdom Marriage discussions over there. So I feel like y'all, if you're watching this, will like this. So while I'm trying to find a tweet, I actually, I'm hot. Am I nervous? While I was trying to find the tweet, while I'm trying to find the tweet, I text him, the stranger, and I was trying to tell him I was about to do this story time. He ain't a stranger clearly no more. We actually ended up being cool. But I was trying to get his buy-in on the story time, but he didn't reply. So I found the tweets. I'm still gonna do it. So y'all, this is so this is so crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna read the tweet thread. I tweeted this May 18th, 2020. How do you explain meeting someone for the first time and it feeling like you've always known them? Okay, next tweet. I met my twin flame. Is this even biblical? LOL. On Bourbon Street. Instant attraction, extreme familiarity. And that's why I want to share this with my Pretty Daisy community, because unpack that one, twin flame, and all that. We talk about all that. Like, so it's not biblical, and it was familiar because of familiar spirits. No shade, you just gotta know that, right? Like, that's still my dog. And it was an instant attraction. Like, I didn't know what that was. So then my next tweet said, LMAO, I can't even tweet this. This needs to be my first story time on my solo channel, because phew, that was in 2020. It wasn't a solo channel back then, okay? I went home with a complete stranger, y'all, with laughing, crying emojis. And then it says, because he felt familiar. And because I'm trying to talk and do my hair, I just don't think this is smart. Like, baby, I should have cut these first. Let me cut these and come back, because that was already a pretty good intro. But let me cut these and come back. Hold on. Like, girl, you gonna fool around and cut your hair trying to be cute for the internet. Okay, so I went home with a complete stranger, y'all, because he felt familiar. I was real deep into some new age practice during this time, and he was battling some demons. Like, basically our lives were Bourbon Street. That's crazy. So I'm not saying he was battling some demons just like say that, you know, everybody be saying that. Like, I was battling demons, he was battling demons. And I think he followed me on Twitter when I was tweeting this, which is even crazier, because why would you? Okay, Megan. Like, basically our lives were Bourbon Street, dark and simple. Does that make sense? That's wild. No shade if you live there. I'll break that down some more too. Anyways, I think God used us both to shed light and truth into each other's lives, like a super sweet reminder. So even though I was saying like it felt like a twin flame type of situation, had we not had the appropriate boundaries and did what we were supposed to do moving forward with our relationship, I think it could have been worse than what it was, because I was acting kind of crazy with him for a little while, and I ended up having to apologize. On top of the super strong feelings of I feel like I've known you all my life, where have you been all my life, which again, those are the familiar spirits. Needless to say, I left Nola depressed and ready to move to be where he was at with a whole stranger and meet his mama and them, all of that. I can't stand myself. I can't believe I'm even telling y'all that I was feeling this, or that I felt like that. That was 2 years ago, and he's still my dog. Okay, so this was me in 2020, so that confirms that this did happen in 2018, because I was wondering what year this was. So thankful he wasn't an axe murderer, which I'll get to that too. Oh, and my mama was heated when I came back and told her, I don't know. She said, I don't care how familiar he felt, Megan. Nobody knew where you were at, who you were with. He could have chopped you up into pieces and we never saw you again, which is facts. But I was convinced that like he would not do nothing to hurt me, right? So set the scene a little bit more, because that was just kind of like a pre-story. That was a summary. But I was invited to go to New Orleans with my friend at the time, which is why I was saying there's so many different levels to this story time. This was 2018. Megan was 24, and I was in a situationship here at home in Huntsville and we never got along. We were fighting at the time, and so my friend invited me, and I was trying to avoid seeing somebody else, which I'm not even gonna go into all those details on this channel because y'all do not even know me like that. But Pretty Daisy, y'all will be able to keep up with all of this story actually. Anywho, so I was avoiding trying to see him, which plays into why that weekend went that way. I did not get along with my situationship at the time. 2 different dudes, okay? And then so I went to New Orleans with my friend, and had I been where I needed to be, like spiritually, I would have known, like, you probably don't need to go to New Orleans with her, and none of that would have played out the way that it did. But me being 24 and me wanting to get the house, and I've never been to New Orleans, like, I'm gonna go. So I packed everything up, and I actually ended up meeting her in, I want to say Birmingham. Like, I'm having to go back. Yeah. So, because we didn't live in the same place. She lives like in Tennessee somewhere. And so I had to meet her in Birmingham so that I could ride with her basically like there, because she was from there. And she had all this fun stuff to do that weekend. Like, we went to a wedding. I just found those pictures in my phone. I might need to use that in my thumbnail. That's the first time I heard Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares. Like, and I remember everybody started rapping it at the wedding. I was like, what is this song and why don't I know the words? That was the last time you was gonna catch me slipping with Meek Mill, okay? And so, do I need some pre-poo, y'all? I gotta make sure I'm detangling these roots. And so I was excited. I went with her, but it was certain things just about our friendship that I had noticed, like even just going down there, that I was taking mental note of. And so the whole way down there though, I was telling her about my situationship, like at the house. Like, you know, I was telling her what was up. Like we was friends. We was talking about our love lives and stuff. She was catching me up on what was going on with her. I was telling her what was going on with me. And so my situationship, he was texting me, you know, on the way down there, but I wasn't texting him because, like I said, we wasn't getting along. And so I had already told her, like, I had planned in my mind, like, if he don't act right while I was gone for the weekend, then I'm just not gonna talk to him. Like, he wanted to be funny, then I'm gonna be funny back. Like, I used to really be on that type of time. So we get down there, y'all. I had Popeyes in New Orleans, and it was really good. It tastes different than the Popeyes here in Alabama. Personal opinion, it was good because that's what she wanted, and it was good. Then I went to her mama's house, and I think the first night we was going to Bourbon Street. Mind y'all, I've never been there. Mind y'all again. That's why I was saying it was dark and stuff like Bourbon Street. I'm a very sensitive person. So Pretty Daisy, y'all can understand why it was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm in a whole nother space, a whole nother territory, right? That makes sense. But I didn't know that about myself back then. Mind you, again, I'm also trying to avoid seeing somebody else in another city. Like, that's why I didn't go to that other city, because I was trying to avoid seeing that person. So we go out. I get dressed. I remember I was real cute. I had on like some booty shorts and this like crop tee. Really same type of stuff I wear now, to be honest. Don't remember what shoes I had on, and my natural hair was out. And the water in New Orleans is different than the water here. I think their water is soft. And so I ended up doing like a wash and go type deal before we went out. So I just looked, I personally, I thought I looked cute, like a breath of fresh air, right? So we ride over Lake, whatever it's called, the one that started with a P, Pontchartrain. Don't let me get the line. We ride over that, and it was night, and I remember thinking like, dang, like I'm glad I can't see because this probably freaked me out. And so when we get to Bourbon Street, she kind of gives me like the warning, like the prelude of like what it's gonna be like. Cause she didn't stay there, she stayed outside of there, but like in Louisiana. And I don't want to say where she lived and stuff because I just don't want to be giving all that information. Like I don't know, I feel like that's kind of too much. So anyways, we cute. She telling me, you know, like different stuff, like what to mentally prepare myself for. I'm like, okay, cool. Immediately I was like, I think I wore the wrong shoes because this ground is not, it's giving like, yes, it smelled like pee. It's giving like, oh my god, somebody threw up over there. Like, okay, like I figured out really quick what type of time we was on. I still don't know if I need to do put some pre-poo in my hair. I think we're 3 birdies in. So we are walking up and down the street immediately, not even because of my situation, just the type of dudes who were hitting on me, hitting on us. I was like, nah, I'm finna have to act like I'm married. Like she gave me, we were both doing that. She gave me one of the extra rings on her hand, and we had put it on. I could put mine on my ring finger. So when people try to talk to me, I was like, I'm married. And that wasn't even really working, not like how I thought it would, which is really sad. And I remember this one dude chasing us down Bourbon Street. Like I was running from a man on Bourbon Street. Like I look back on this time, this night, and I'm like, why did I think this was okay? But you know, you young, you young. I would not do that now. And so we got this drink that ended up destroying my stomach, but we'll get back to that. I think a lot of things played into that, but we got this drink and it messed up my stomach, and I was having a good time though. My stomach was kind of hurting while we was walking around, but that's like the norm for me, y'all. Like a lot of times when I go out and I'm on different scenes, like I'm so sensitive, I'm picking up on so many things that is the norm for me. Okay, so we had walked by, shout out to the homies. In my mind, they're still my friends. Like, so we had walked by this group of dudes, and I had noticed the one, and remember I had told y'all like it was like immediately attracted to him. Like physically, yes, I thought he looked nice, you get what I'm saying? And we had made eye contact a couple different times, and I had always been, I'm not like this now, so let me stop right now. Everything that I'm saying now, again, I was 24. I am not like this now. So even if I'm trying like telling the story and it's like, Megan, like I want to do this now, but that's just the type of time I was on when it was happening. So back then, in earlier years of my life, like if I seen you and I liked you and I wanted you, majority of the time I was gonna get you. Like, and I didn't care if you didn't come talk to me first, I was gonna talk to you. And so I had already seen him few times. We had walked up down the street. They was just like, you know, like posted up, standing together, him and his friends. And so I had already told my friend, like, oh, he cute, like I like him. And I had already knew that, like that's what I want. Like that's like okay. So during one of those times, one of these dudes was trying to talk to us and wouldn't leave us alone, like literally following us down the street. I was like, this is my opportunity. So I used that to start conversation with him and his friends. Like, oh my God, y'all please help us. You know, like this man won't leave us alone. Like, act like you know us, you know, like on some type of stuff like that. And they went along with it because again, they had already been looking. We had already made eye contact and stuff, so it wasn't weird. And so from there, we was laughing, doing introductions, and I found out quickly they were really like, in my opinion, I'm saying I found out quickly because it was quickly and it was on Bourbon Street. They seemed like really nice young men. Like they were in school, so he was a little bit younger than me because at this point I was already out of school for like 2 years, but they were still in school. They weren't like still in school and younger than me. It was like they were still in school. Well, they were a little younger than me, but not like still in school and like years younger than me. But this wasn't that. Like we were closer in age. They were just still in school. And this is like 2 years, I think. So, anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I might even have to cut all that out. So, I found out quickly that they was like nice young men. Like they was in school. They had good heads on their shoulders. So we standing there talking and stuff. And then at this point, my friend, as I said, I don't know what got into her. I think this is when I was realizing she wasn't my friend. When she noticed like he actually liked me back, because the way it started off was he was talking to her and I was talking to his best friend. She wasn't my best friend, she was my friend. And so his best friend was asking me all these questions, and it was low-key like an interview, like when I look back on it. And you know, dudes just be talking and saying something, anything though in the beginning, as do we. But he was basically telling me, you know, like you would be you know, like perfect for him and all this stuff. Man. And you know, baby, I was going for it. And he was like, yeah, you be perfect. I'm like, you really is like his type, da 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 da. And so the whole time he talking to my friend, he looking at me smiling and stuff. And the whole time I'm talking to his friend, I'm looking at him smiling and stuff, like we flirting, like. And so I cannot believe I'm 30 years old trying to go. I should have did this when I first originally wanted to do it, because this is crazy. Because it's not like he my husband, I'm talking about it, but I still want to tell the story, so whatever. So at this point she notices that, I guess, I don't know if she thought she was about to pull him because she was talking to him, but like we knew what this was when we walked over here, shorty. Like, no, I told you that's me. I already knew that. And he could have lied, but he said he had told his friends the same thing, like her. And I was like, okay, cool. So we was on the same page. And so we switched, and I ended up talking to him, like, and I guess him and the friend had kind of had to sort that out too, like, nah, this is a better fit for you for real, dog, like, you know, because I'm not surprised if maybe the friend had liked me too. It was a lot of them though. It wasn't just him and that one. Then was just like the two that was talking to us. It was like 5 other dudes. So I have never done a story time. This is giving me a little bit of anxiety. So I started talking to him. We talking and stuff, and she can tell like he liked me back. Like it wasn't one-sided. And I had to, you know, do too much. I ain't never had to do too much. Like the most I did was go over there and start talking to them, which most dudes, I will say this, in most situations where I'm the one like, nah, bump that. All the situations where I was the one instigating it, they was not the one for me. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like I'm talking about this is my husband, but this is just how the story went down. That was probably part of my problem back in the day too. So anyways, she was noticing that he liked me, fooled with a kid. So she decides to start telling them, like, I got a man at the house. Why would you do that, sis? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, and I remember sitting there in like total disbelief, and he told me, like, him and the other dudes, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. You know how dudes is, like, they'll tell you, like, she's not your friend. And we standing there, and he was like, because I think he could tell, like, I was like, wow, that's crazy. And he was like, I don't care that you got something going on. And I should have known back then that meant he had something going on too. But I was not tracking that in the moment, which I later found out because we talked about everything. But right there in that moment, I did not know that. And so he was like, I don't care, like, you know. And I was like, okay, because I know I was looking like, why the hell would she say that? And like, just, girl, what are you doing? Because like I said, it was a situationship. And let's rewind a little bit. So in my situationship, I'm by default like a very natural, loyal person, but I also was heavy on like some get back type time. And he was always doing crazy slick stuff, and I would still be sitting at the house being loyal. And so I kind of knew, like, I'm single this weekend, you know, you ain't officially asking me to be your girl, none of that. So that's the type of time I really was on. And he had already made me mad, so I was already not talking to him. And so my new friend that I met on Burger Street, the stranger, he was like, I don't care. And he was like, and she is not your friend. And I was like, okay, thank you. You know, like, but I had already noticed stuff on the way down there. But he's like, she's not shorty, not your friend. So they was from, they weren't from down there. The dudes we met, they was from Chicago. That's why I had said I was ready to move to Chicago. Me, his mom, and them. So they was cool. I had never met no dudes from Chicago, ever. Not that I recall. And so their accents and stuff and how they talk, their lingo. I can't really say heavy accents, just they lingo really, and like the shorty and all that. So yeah, he was like, she's not your friend. And yeah, and I was like, okay. So at that point, he was like, you want to come back with me? listen, I wanted to say yes, because I already wasn't having like the most fun with her, and she had already made me mad with that. And I was like, I don't even want to go back home with you, truthfully, my girl. And I had told him, like, no, not the first night. And she had already knew, like, she was like, she told me I couldn't go back with him. But I think she was kind of taken aback how that had worked out. And it was like, that's the one I wanted. And he was like, I could go with him and all this. And we was clicking. Like, we weren't talking about no crazy stuff. Like, we was talking about real stuff. We was talking about, like, how we grew up. We was talking about just different stuff. Like, just, it was that's the word I'm looking for. It was a wholesome conversation. It wasn't on no like, let me buy you some shots and all this. Like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like flirty in the sense of like overly sexualized. It wasn't like that. Like, it was really like, dang, like, you cool. Like, I felt like I had just really met a friend that I was attracted to. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, nah, like, not the first night. And he was like, I understand, you don't need to come this first night. You don't need to go back this first night. And I was like, okay, because he had asked me how long I was gonna be in New Orleans and all that, and I had told him. So man, and it's crazy when I look back on it, because listen, your friends matter, and how your friends move and act with dudes also matters, okay? And so, because I didn't know what was going on until after the fact. And so he was like, okay, well, let me walk you back. And so she walked back with like his group of friends, and I don't think his best friend liked her like that. So you know how, like, because I've been in situations with my best friends, it's like you do gotta take one for the team, but it's just for that moment. Like, it ain't gonna be no ongoing, prolonged thing. And so his friend wasn't really feeling my friend like that. And he could have had a whole girlfriend too, though. Like, who knows? Like, my friend did have a girlfriend. He had a situation just like how I had a situation. But his friend could have had a girlfriend. He was just, you know, trying to play the other man, you know, so to set that up for him. I don't know. So he's walking me back, and I noticed different things about him when I wonder if he got a new number. I might try to write him on Instagram, because I kind of want to tell him about this before I just upload it. But I noticed different things about him when he was walking me back to the car. For one, he never he walked on the outside like the way you're supposed to. So like if a car come, the woman don't get hit first. And so I noticed little things like that. Like, he knew to do that. And he was very like mindful of just like where I was walking in position with him. And I had actually missed that in somebody and in relationships. Like, I usually only get that feeling from like my daddy, and I didn't always get that in relationships with other dudes. And so even though he was like young, he had like this protective, like older vibe feeling to him. And so when we were walking and talking, this homeless man, so at this point, like, it's just me and him walking and talking like on Bourbon Street, and I'm still see where my friend is at and stuff. She see where I'm at, but it's just me and him talking, because we was really enjoying getting to know each other. And so this homeless man had like ran up on us, and he handled that very gracefully. Like, he was really like this little, like, you know, I would argue he was like a sweet gangster, like, for real, like, and I like that. Okay. So he walked us back. Me and him talked. I got his number. He got my number. He was like, I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow, all this. And I really believed him. Now, in my mind, I wasn't thinking like, oh, my love story. Like, at no point was I like, oh, this is my husband. But I really liked him. There's only been a couple instances where I was like, oh, this is my husband. And one, I was really delusional. And one, I think I was right. So, but it wasn't like that. It was just like, I knew I needed. Okay, so we'll come back to all that. I just had a lot going on in that situationship. And so when we were walking to the car, one of the things we talked about, I feel like this is where the homeless man had interrupted us. No shade to the homeless man, but he was just kind of aggressive. Like, he ran up on us, and it scared me. And that's why my friend had handled it, the new guy friend. And so we were talking about, I'm very honest. Like, anybody who has ever interacted with me on that type of level, even if it was like friends at first, and like, I like you, or I'm attracted to you, or you like me, I'm attracted, or you're attracted to me, and we like talk about that, I am very honest about everything I have going on. So even though she had kind of outed me prematurely, like, she got a whole man at the house, I was going to tell him that anyways. Like, before we, you know, even thought about doing anything, I would have told him that, because I'm not the type to where like I want it to be like we get involved and you got these feelings for me, and it was never going to be that. And thank God he was the same way too. Like, so I'm very honest. And so we were just talking, and he was like, so I mean, I don't care what your friend said, but I did hear what she said, like, what you got going on, you know, like at the house. And so I was telling him, and I was like, but honestly, like, that ain't even, I was like, I know I shouldn't be dealing with him. This is what I was telling him. But I don't think I'm over some other stuff that happened. And I knew that. And that should have been enough for me to leave the situationship, because I feel like that's what that trip has showed me ultimately. Like, when I was going back home from New Orleans, I remember thinking, like, I can't possibly, like, love you like the way I think I am if I'm meeting somebody in New Orleans and it's real exciting to meet them, and I'm, you know, I would have been willing to risk it all, you know, like, so that was eye-opening for me. So I was telling him that, and I was like, I don't think I'm over some stuff that had already happened. Like, I think I'm still, like, I'm really not even trying to deal with that, honestly. And so I was telling him where I was actually supposed to be that weekend, which I'm not gonna tell y'all because I feel like my story, like, that'll put, So I was telling him where I was actually supposed to be that weekend and why I didn't go, because I was trying to avoid that other person. Remember, so that's in the beginning. And he was like, damn, that's crazy. And he started telling me about what was going on with him. And so we had noticed a lot of similarities. Like, no, that is crazy. And so we were just having a good conversation. And so when we got to the car, he only hugs me. He didn't try to, you know, like, kiss on me or nothing like that. He gave me a hug. Like, he really was a gentleman. Now, even in my mind, I'm thinking, like, this just an act, you know, but, like, also enjoying it. So, like I said, he hit me up the next day and we link up and, you know, all that. And I was like, okay, bet, cool, say less. Like, I was like, wow, my first night in New Orleans, I already met somebody really, really cool that's not even from, you know, from New Orleans. I was like, okay, that's what's up. And so, I was, you know, kind of thinking about him a little bit. He was a little cutie. And, I got sick. So by the time I woke up the next morning, and if it was even that long in New Orleans, your girl was sick. Like, nauseous, I can't talk, nauseous, diarrhea, the whole nine. And we had all this stuff that we needed to do. So I was really upset because we were just only gonna be there for the weekend, and we went on a Friday. So, like, it's Saturday now. So I'm sick, and we had a wedding to go to. And her mom, though, she made me, like, these natural remedies to, like, feel better, and they worked. But it was just the fact that I had just got, like, it felt like violently sick out of nowhere. And I don't know, I didn't know back then what I know now. And so it was absolutely warfare, but it was like, it came on so strong. And that's what happened to me if I'm engaging with people at a level deeper than I'm supposed to be romantically. If I got the wrong people around me, which I was finding out, like, she really wasn't my friend, but I was staying in their house, like, that's crazy. So, like, I had just got really, really sick. But then also we were in New Orleans, so y'all know they practice different stuff there. I didn't pray like how I pray now. I didn't know how to cover myself like how I do now. And I feel like me being somebody that's like how I am and going into that place so ignorant and uncovered, that affected me, because it was, I got violently ill out of nowhere. Like, the devil was like, oh no, she gotta go, even though I'm not the me now, you get what I'm saying? And so I really kind of want to stop the story time and really focus on taking down these braids, because baby, we ain't made no progress for real. And so I was real sick, and my friend was like, why are you so sick? Like, girl, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so the stuff her mom had made for me, though, it helped. She made, like, I still think about this meal to this day because it was really good and healthy. She made, like, these seasoned breakfast veggies and, like, mushrooms. And I'm actually discovering in this season of my life, my body needs mushrooms. But she did that and, like, banana pancakes. And she made me, like, some homemade ginger tea with, like, well water. The water is different there. But, like, I remember we had to go get the water from, like, whoever house had, like, the well pump. So she made, it was good. And I was like, oh, no, like, I'm going to have to eat this again. Like, mama, you know how to do that. Like, it was real good. So I started feeling better. And my friend was like, okay, well, let's try to go to the wedding. So I got dressed at the wedding. I was real cute. I think that is the picture I'm going to use for the thumbnail, because I just don't know what picture I'm going to use. So I'm talking about something that happened so many years ago. I was cute, and something I noticed while I was there, so something they were explaining to me while I was there also, though, was, like, just the colorism there and, like, how it's a thing. And I didn't know that. Like, I was literally just, like, young and stupid. Really, that's how I would describe it. And so they're explaining all that to me, and all her family, like, loves me and they kept telling me how pretty and stuff I was, and how they liked my hair and all this stuff, and like, girl, you know how to do your hair. And because I didn't know that was like a thing there, because I feel like how it is there is not how it is in Huntsville. So it was like, oh, it was like I fit in more down there, like, oh, that's crazy, versus here. It was really weird. And so it was really cool, and any random boy that I got to engage with or interact with while I was there, they was all saying the same thing. So I was like, this can't be just a line everybody is telling me, like, this has to be a real thing. So I was cute, and again, the wedding was nice. It was like a random wedding I went to, like really crazy. And so, okay, during the wedding, my situationship at home, I had not texted him because he wanted to be funny. Like he was on some like you're gonna be wondering what I'm doing. He used to get mad whenever I would go out of town because I wasn't like tied down in any way. Like, and he didn't say I was a girlfriend, so I really wasn't tied down. And so, but he would get mad and feel away if I would go out of town because he wasn't able to like do all that at the time. And so I didn't text him back. Like, he was texting me, and I was like, no, since you want to be funny and not respond and act brand new, I'm going to do the same thing. You can wonder what I'm doing since you're trying to make me wonder what you're doing back at home. So I didn't respond. I'm at the wedding, literally ignoring my text messages from him. And then my friend that I had met the night before, the complete stranger, he texted me like, what you got going on? What you getting into tonight? And I was like, oh, he was for real. Because, you know, sometimes the dudes act like that and then they don't follow up. They don't follow up, right? And so I was like, I'm not sure what we're doing tonight. I'm at a wedding right now, and I had told him where she lives. Like, I'm not even like on that side, because he stayed closer to how far is Baton Rouge from New Orleans, y'all? Because he was on that side. Because he was in school. Remember that. Is it a school in Baton Rouge? Am I tripping? But it ain't a thing for them to go to like Bourbon Street and stuff, you know, for the nightlife. That's what people do. Yeah, I think he was in Baton Rouge. So we was like kind of far at that point. So he was like, hey, let me know like what you doing tonight, where you gonna be at tonight and stuff. And I was like, okay, I will, because I was literally like really far from him. So I'm thinking about the story that I had posted. I was trying to get well, I don't know. I didn't fight. In the situations and stuff that I'm in, like, back then, I wasn't with nobody that really would act like, oh, so this what you want? Like, or I could, like, get my head knocked off. It wasn't on all type of stuff like that. But thinking back, had I moved, like, how I moved. If I moved now, how I moved back then, I would get my head knocked off. Let me put it that way. And so, the day progressed. I noticed she wasn't introducing me to like anybody, like unless it was like a girl. But people was asking her who I was. They wanted to come and meet me and stuff, because I came in with you, sis. Like, that's your job. I don't know these people. And I picked up on that. Like, I was like, she's not introducing me to anybody, and all the random dudes that I'm meeting. And she knew, like, I had told her on the way down there, like, I'm doing what I want to do, all this. That's why I was like, for her to do all that, like, sis, like. So I met a lot of cool people though, and the wedding was really nice. And again, they started playing Meek Mill, and everybody was turning up, and I was like, I don't even know this song, like, what is happening? And so we left the wedding. I think we went to get groceries, and then because I was still recovering from being kind of sick, I feel like we was like chilling and doing stuff with her mom, like, for the rest of that day, because we were going back out that night. And so that night we went to the French Quarter, and I was telling my friend, the boy that I had just met, the stranger, I should have, unsure about the camera cut off. It's a new SD card, so it's not out of storage. I was telling him like, that's where we was going, and they weren't going there. Like, he was like, I don't think I can talk them into going there. I think we're going back to Bourbon Street. And I was like, okay, well, just, you know, like, let me know. And he was like, no, you let me know, and then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do. So I was like, okay. Went to the French Quarter bars. I like that better, like, immediately. I was like, this is more my vibe than Bourbon Street. Bourbon Street had too much going on. Like, I can't do it. So I like the French Quarter better. One of her friends pulled up on her, and we was just vibing, having a good time. I don't think I drunk this night, because at this point it was like I was already sick the night before. And so I remember this is when LMA Boot Up was like a big deal. And so I remember that coming on. And just having a good time. We was vibing in there. And then at this point, he was like, my friend, he was like, hey, I'm finna come get you. Like, wherever you at, just like, let me know I'm finna come get you. I was like, okay, works for me. And so I had told her, like, I'm finna leave. And she was looking at me like, you don't know him. Arguably, you know, looking back, she was right. And had it been a friend like Ashley, my friend now, my best friend now, my best friend now, my best friend now, I might have listened. But just where I was in life and just, you know, living young and free and wild and reckless, I was like, nah, he come to get me. Mind y'all, I don't know where we're going. I don't know where he lives. I don't even know this man's last name. I didn't know his last name till the next day. Do you hear me? So like, it was very like, why would I do that? I'm not telling my mom what I'm doing. I told her like later, but we'll get to that. So y'all, this is nuts. So he comes to get me. He got a really nice car. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Like, what are the odds anybody would? I don't think so, but he had a really nice car that I really liked. And he came and got me. And she was like, Megan, you don't need to go. Although she was about to go with her friend. Like, what's you gonna do? I was gonna go home, be with your mama, you was gonna be with a man? No, sis, that's not what we're doing. And so he got me. And we are sitting in the car outside of the clubs at the French Quarter. Like, I'm in the car with him, like, hey, I haven't seen you since yesterday, just smiling and giddy and stuff. And my phone is going crazy. Like, I was like, what is happening? But it was on Do Not Disturb. And so the person I was trying to avoid, okay, was where my best friends was at. Like, my real best friends at the time. And I just did not go. I avoided it. They was blowing my phone up. That's a whole separate story time. But basically, what I was telling my new stranger friend, I didn't speak him up. But basically what I was telling him, that person, not my situationship, the person I was trying to avoid, they was trying to find me. Like, what are the odds? Like, I'm gonna go home with this whole stranger. I need to get over this situation. And the person, the hurt, the pain and stuff I really need to deal with, and the person that, if I'm being honest with y'all, that I actually love, I need to like figure this out, right? Insane. So I tell the complete stranger, like, you are not gonna believe who is calling me, but it's the person we was talking about last night. And he was like, you lying. I was like, I'm not lying. I was like, is it okay if I answer? And he was like, yeah, straight. And so I answered, but I had to keep it quick because I was like, yeah, I'm with somebody right now. Which either way, I was technically with somebody. Like, I was physically with a boy I had just met that he knew nothing about. And I was also with the boy at the house in the situation, right? So I'm on the phone real quick, and then I'm like, let's wrap this up. I said, we can talk later. I'm doing something right now. And so at this point, I'm just excited to be with my new friend, and I'm gonna have me a good night. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm just down. I wonder if the camera overheated. I don't know if that's why I turned off. So we're on to this part. I realized after we get on the road and we're not going the same direction towards her house, I don't know my way around Louisiana. One, I literally just got in the car with a stranger, so now my nerves is kicking in. My stomach started hurting, and I was like, this could kidnap me. Like, it's not like I didn't have sense, it just didn't kick in yet. And so I was praying, and I was like, God, he seems trustworthy. Please let me be safe tonight. I was like, where are we going? And he was telling me we was going back like like his room, and it was low key like an apartment, but like on campus. And so I was telling him, he was like, are you okay? And I was like, can he tell that I'm like over here like a nervous wreck? But it also could have been my stomach hurting because of that interaction I had just had with my past. Not sure. So he was like, what can I get you, like your stomach hurting? And so we started at the gas station in the hood. I'm like, am I gonna be safe? Like, I've never been to Louisiana. No shade, but it was just like, what am I doing in the middle of the night? So he ran in to get me a Coke. I think at this point is when I text my mama like, hey, remember my friend I met last night? I'm going home with him. Like, I'm gonna keep you updated. But at this point, I really needed somebody to know about my whereabouts, and I had already told her my friend was getting on my nerves, so it was like, I gotta tell my mama, because who else I'm gonna tell? And Morgan was kind of too young. Granted, she would have been 20, but no, told my mama. And so he was like, you straight? And I had told him, like, I just realized I'm with a complete stranger. I don't know my way around Louisiana. You said you was taking me to Baton Rouge and back to, like, on campus, but you could be lying. Like, he could have been taking me anywhere, y'all. So this is when it's like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And so actually though, when we get closer to campus, I'm like, he wasn't lying, because I was paying attention to the signs. Like, it said we was going towards Baton Rouge. It said we was going towards the school. You know what I'm saying? So I realized quickly, even in the middle of the night, how popular he is. Like, I was like, how do I be doing this? Like, I wasn't even trying to do that. How popular he is. Like, people was like hanging out their car. Like, when they seen his car, they knew it was him. Like, honking, waving, girls saying hey, dancing it. You know, like, I was like, who am I in the car with? Like, what have I got myself into? So we pull in, and I felt safer, because I'm like, I'm literally on a campus. Like, he wasn't lying. So that was a good thing. Like, he wasn't lying about where he was taking me. So we get there, we go to his room, his apartment, and I don't remember if it was a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom. If it was a 2-bedroom, his roommate was not one of his homies. And if it was a 1-bedroom, then it was just 1 bedroom. So he opens the door, and before he opened the door, he was like, oh yeah, my shorties. Like, he was like, they in the living room. I was like, yo, who? Like, so in my mind, I'm like, this got hoes. Like, you just brought me over here with some hoes. So then I'm thinking, like, he could be trying to pimp me, sell me into anything. Like, you know, like, all these thoughts going through my mind. And so he says that he opens the door, and it's the dudes from the night before that I already met. So, you know, me being me, like, I don't know how I was in situations like this, like, but I've always been loved by the more gangster type of men, and like that you arguably harder, you know, and then here I am, little Miss Goody Two Shoes, like it's always been like that. So here I am walking in like, fellas, and they're like, Meg, like, what's up? I'm like, this is insane. And I noticed what type of time they are on. Let me just leave it like that. They some Chicago shorties for real. Like, I was like, but I have already been in situations like this because of a previous relationship. So I wasn't scared, but it was like, oh, my mama do not like when I be in environments like this, or like when it's a possibility that, you know. So, but he kind of saw how I was looking, and he was like, you are not going to be out here with them. He was very, very protective of me, which makes sense. And I'll get to that later. And so he was like, you going in a room, tell them hi, and then like you go in a room. I was like, okay, like, bye y'all, good night y'all, they're like, good to see you sis, like, okay. So I go in his room, he see how I'm looking at different stuff, and he putting different things away because he didn't want me to be uncomfortable. He could see what I was looking at and stuff. And so we talked the whole night, like the whole night. I don't know what time it is at this point, because you know it was like leaving the club hours, so it's like late, but we still stayed up talking. And I remember we had tried to watch Black Panther. I think that's when I had fell asleep, but we talked like a lot. And so he was like, one of the first things he said was like, are your mom and daddy together? And I was like, that is so random, but like accurate, you know. Like, I was like, so he was paying attention to me for the right reason. So even though I'm saying it was like a twin flame type ordeal type vibe, and what usually happens when we meet people like that is we attracted to them, and we sleep with them, we cross the lines way too fast, and it's like ruin what would have been a good relationship, because y'all might have had some demonic things in common, the familiar spirits, but y'all could have been good friends and working through different things, right? And so I was like, yeah, they are. Like, how do you know that? And he was like, I can just tell. Girls like that are just different. And I was like, huh. And he was the first one to actually, well, not the first, but he was one of the few to articulate that to me. Like, he was like, I could tell. Like, and then he was telling me how I was just different from, I ain't even gonna do all that because I feel like I'd be touching her wounds or something. But he was just like, you can just tell, like, just how you are. And he was like, and you're so like sweet, and like people always pick up on like my nurturing side. Like, I'm very, that's just how I am. And so I was like, I didn't know if his parents was together, but I was like, I know you love your mama. And he was like, what? And I was like, because of how you treat me. I was like, do you have sisters? And because I knew if he didn't have sisters, it was because he loved his mama, because he was very protective, and he knew, just like, you know, like, I was like, no, I don't feel like nothing bad finna happen to me. That is what I look for, like, number one thing. So we talked, and he didn't even try me like that. I wasn't feeling good in no ways, but we had already talked about different things, so we already knew we weren't finna like have sex, do none of that. We weren't doing none of that. And he was just so sweet. And I actually had a shirt from him for the longest. He gave me like a brand new shirt, like with the tag on it, everything to sleep in. He was like, "I'll take this with you." I thought that was really sweet. And I had it for the longest. I don't have it anymore because that was a past experience. That's why I'm doing a story time, clearly. He's still my friend on a level of like social media, and we check in, you know, from time to time, but it ain't like on no stuff like that. So I did sleep in the bed. I feel like we did sleep like in the same direction, but like it wasn't on like no, like I had just met him, you know what I'm saying? Like it was real sweet and innocent. It wasn't on no tight time like that. I was hot though. And so I remember at one point in the middle of the night, I woke up because I didn't feel good. And he was like, "Are you okay?" Like he was like, "You are so hot." And every time I woke up, he was not asleep. And that at first kind of creeps me out. But then I later found out why he was more so like that. But because he didn't do stuff like that for real either. So it was like, I'm going home with a stranger, you picking up a stranger. He didn't know the type. I could have been a crazy girl, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't, and he wasn't a crazy dude. And so he was like, "Are you okay?" Like literally every time I was uncomfortable, like he was like alert and like paying attention. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." Like this kind of normal. Like, I haven't experienced that type of warfare before, but I'm really going back to sleep. And so at this point, my mama is like blowing my phone up like, "Bitch, are you alive?" And so at one point when I wrote her, I was like, "Mama, I'm alive. I'm safe. He's not gonna let nothing bad happen to me. I promise. It's daytime here now. He's taking me back home like in a little while." And so she just mad, like just mad, y'all. Don't even give me a chance to tell her about the boy, just mad. And so also my friend from my past, I still was ignoring my situationship. I had too much going on, but my friend from my past was he was writing me too. It was just a lot going on. So I was with him, and he was like, "Are you okay about all that? Like, you straight?" And I'm like, "I ain't got no choice but to be straight, but I'm about to sort through these feelings." And so he was like, "Where am I taking you?" Like when we finally did get up, and I was telling him he was taking me back to where she lived, and so he had to make that drive. It was like over an hour. And he was like, "But I don't mind taking you, you know." And so when we left, I had told the ones that was in the living room, because they was in town visiting him from Chicago. And then we had to stop and get some gas, clearly, because we was going a while away. And so this part was fun for me, because when we had drove all up until this point, I hadn't seen all this stuff in the daytime. I had only seen it at the nighttime. And I feel like we drove by the stadium that they have there too at some point. And so me being petty Betty, I'm in the car with this man, and he listening to like Chicago rappers. Like, you know, I'm in the car with a dude, clearly, and I'm recording it so you can hear the music, and you can tell him on the passenger side I'm recording the city view and stuff. I posted it and stuff, trying to make my situationship sick, because you had the wrong one, and he already knew I was with a dude like that, clearly. But I didn't do nothing. We ended up fighting about it when I got home, but that's another story too. So we talked the whole morning. We stopped at the gas station. I love a good stop at the gas station. But my appetite was gone, and so he was offering to get me whatever he offered. They was like, "You can stay longer and make breakfast." But I was like, not me make breakfast, they was gonna make breakfast. But I had to get back. I don't know what the rush was. I think because it was like I really was with a stranger all night, and my friend was texting me at this point like, "Ma'am, are you coming back?" Because I think she had stuff to do, and I didn't want to like miss my ride and end up in the city with him all day when I had clothes, toothbrush, none of that stuff. So he took me back, but we talked the whole hour ride, and I learned a lot about him, and he was opening up to me about even more stuff. That's when I knew, like, this is not no axe murderer. Like, he's not. He has a really good heart, and I'm glad my discernment at least worked in that capacity, you know, to figure that out. And so I got out. He gave me a hug and stuff. He dropped me off. He was really sweet, and he said he was gonna try to see me again before I left, because I was only gonna be there for you know, that weekend, so it's already Saturday at this point. No, it's Sunday. We left Monday. It's Sunday. We didn't go to church or anything. What the heck did we do on Sunday? I don't know. And so he said he was gonna try to see me like later though, because I was leaving the next morning. And so she had, I don't remember, it must have been her birthday or something. I think it was. And so she had like to go get her hair done and do like pictures or something maybe. And she wanted me to be there for that. That's another reason I had to be back. And so I got dressed. Oh, and we went to dinner. We had a dinner. She had a birthday dinner. That's what we had to do. And so this whole time, I don't know. None of this is going on. All I know is I liked him and he liked me, and I was just trying to kick it and spend time with him while I was there. That's all I know. He tells me all this after the fact. So on her birthday, she knows like, or the day, it wasn't her birthday, the day we was doing that stuff. She knows like, oh, I'm still trying to see him and spend time and stuff with him. And so some of the day has gone by, and now he texting again, and he like, what y'all doing, what you getting into, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, she's doing this, she's doing this. This whole time she's texting his friend, because they had exchanged numbers, and she's getting on the friend's nerve. And I didn't know that. And so it was messing it up for me, because even though he was trying to see me, his friend was not trying to come along and do no two men and none of that, because he wasn't feeling her. I didn't know this. So this whole time I'm thinking like, dang, you said you wanted to see me, like what happened? And he didn't tell me till after the fact. And so I ended up not seeing him anymore while I was there, and I was kind of sad. I actually have not seen him since then. So this is 2018. That's the only time I've ever seen him in real life. And so she was kind of getting on my nerve, irritating me a little bit, because I didn't want to just be around that. And that's what I'm saying. I shouldn't have went, because we weren't friends like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a means for me to really go and experience New Orleans. But even in going, like, God was revealing that she wasn't my friend. We weren't friends like that. And so, which is crazy, because I feel like this just played out again at a different level at an older age. But I'm gonna have to use this because I can't start this one. We went to her dinner and stuff. It was fun. I took cute pictures. I don't even know if I got those pictures saved. If I do, I'm gonna put all that in the thumbnail. And so he's still texting me, right? Like, I'm leaving, and I knew that was gonna be the true test, because then you can tell like what type of time somebody's on too, because like if I'm out in the city and you don't want to talk to me no more, then I already knew what was up. But we was really having good conversations. And so he was still texting me. When we left that Monday, she asked me that. She was like, he's still talking to you? And I was like, yes. Like, he wanted to see me last night. I still don't know what happened. And she not telling me like that boy ain't texting her back. She acting weird and crazy towards his friend. Like, she didn't say none of that. And so he was like my friend, and we talked, like text talked for a while, but then I started acting crazy. It was inevitable. And I had to tell him I was sorry, because I was taking a whole lot of like stuff that was going on in my situationship out on him, and wanted him to be something to me that he was not. Like, girl, you just met him. And also wanting that level of consistency from him. And I remember me and him having this conversation of like what his priorities was and what he was focusing on and stuff. And I was like, boy, I did not care. Like, you supposed to be talking to me. Like, what in the world? Because like we talk on the phone sometimes. I think, or either he kept being flaky when it was time to talk on the phone. I can't remember. But we were still texting, I know. And then we would just check in from time to time. Like, the relationship dynamic definitely changed. But we was always still cool. Like, we had little nicknames for each other and stuff. And it was a point where I wanted to go back and visit him. Like, he always said I could come back to New Orleans and I would be willing to make the drive. And then he was saying like it wasn't a thing for him to come to Huntsville because, well, not New Orleans, Baton Rouge, but it wasn't a thing for him to come to Huntsville because he's used to driving further. But we never actually planned it because I ended up getting back more engulfed in my situation. So like I said though, when I was driving back home, or we were going back home, I finally had to text him back and he was like irritated, like, so you just not gonna talk to me the whole weekend and you gonna post stories with niggas? Yeah. And so he was already like, well, I'll be over there when you get back. And I was like, this is crazy. And I'm on it. So I even told him what was going on. He knew what was going on with all of it. Like, I was like, I did not sleep with a boy from that I met while I was down there. This is my situation. I'm telling him this when I get back. I did not sleep with him. I did go home with him. I didn't sleep with him though. And my past was looking for me, and we fought about it, and it was just and it was that night we knew, like I said, the whole way back I knew like this is not where I need to be. I'm obviously not in love with this man, like, but we just so caught up in this situation. Like, I think it was very telling for both of us, and our relationship actually went extremely downhill after that. But the ride back, me and her were talking still, and I could tell like I was like, nah, this is not it. Like, I need to leave everybody alone at this point. That's what I was thinking. But ultimately, y'all, that is my story time for when I went to New Orleans with arguably someone who is not my friend, and how I went home with a complete stranger who ended up being my friend. I still hope before I post this, I talk to him, but he might be doing like a social media break or something. I don't know. He be on some type of stuff like me. Like, I don't know. We talk. If we talk. Shoot, what if the boy married now? Who knows? I don't know. He ain't married. I'm lying. I definitely still follow him and everything. Or, not everything, but, well, no, I do follow him on everything. We do follow each other. Don't try to go find him looking through my, and I'm still friends with his friends that I met that night on there. Like, I think that's really cool, honestly. They was some good young men. They was. And, oh, last thing, something else I realized in telling this story, it's the type of people that I'm called to. Like I told you, I realized like how popular and stuff he was, and I was like, the what? How? And how he trusted me and opened up to me about so many things. And I remember on our ride back, like, he was telling me like the worst things he's ever been through, and I was like, why no way you trust me like that, you just met me. And he was like, I could tell I can trust you. So he sounded like me, and like what I was telling my mama, like, he ain't nothing bad finna happen, I can trust him. And he was saying the same thing. But like, God really trusts me with, I think, some of his most sweetest and influential people on the planet. I just believe that. The most kind-hearted males and females. And I remember him telling me like who he was gonna be, where he was headed in the car that day, and I'll be darned, like, that's exactly what he's doing, right? So it's like, wow, thank you God for trusting me with that. And I didn't know that about myself back then. I truly do attract that, but it's because God built me to be that like safe, trustworthy friend in their life, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's the story time. I know it was different levels and aspects to it, but that's it. So I hope I did that in a good enough way to where it was like engaging, and y'all can say you know, following it, and it's not confusing. And maybe y'all can relate. If y'all can relate to any of that, comment down below, leave some hearts or something. But I'm finna finish taking my hair down, y'all. And this is my first story time, just like I said it would be in 2020. Let's go, Meg. I'm so proud of myself. It is 1:30 a.m. So I love y'all. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, so I've made progress, y'all. I'm coming in, checking in. I got one more section after these three. But so when I got back home, I had thought about this because I actually sat here and rewatched what I've recorded so far, and I was like, dang, that's entertaining to me. So I think I did a good job. But when I got back home, my mama was very upset with me for like a week, and I ended up telling my older cousin about it too. And I remember I went on like a lunch date with my older cousin and her friend from work, and they were all just like, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Like, why would you do that? Why? Like, he really could have did anything to you. You could have been like these girls on the news, which God bless their families and God rest their souls. I understood what they were saying, but nobody was listening to me when I was like, I didn't feel like I was in danger. Like, I felt like I could trust him. And the scariest part for me was really when I realized, like, I don't know my way around Louisiana. I don't have a car. I don't know where he's taking me. He could be lying. That was the only time I was really panicked. Once I figured out I was on campus, I was fine. Like, it was gonna be no more dangerous than when I was on campus at Auburn with people. Like, that's how I viewed it. But my mom was actually really mad at me for like a week, and she said she did not trust my judgment. And I was like, that's crazy, because I knew he was okay. I knew nothing bad was gonna happen to me. And a lesson learned. Like, I never did nothing like that again after that. And I do thank God that the one time I did do something kind of crazy, he kept me safe. And again, we're still cool. So it wasn't like no crazy traumatizing story. I do know that I want to do a story time from our Miami trip, which the same friend from this trip, I invited her, but that trip I really knew like she was not my friend. But I want to do that one with Ashley. So I'm gonna text her tomorrow and see if she want to do a Miami story time and me and her sit down and do it. I might even see if my cousin want to be a part of it, because that was a whole ratchet experience. That was just real, like, that was a crazy experience. So this is the end for real, y'all. I could not believe I shared that, but someone told me that was gonna be my first story time ever. But yeah, that's it. I'm finna finish taking my hair down. We're gonna do this again, I'm sure.